I'm happy to play with Laurence and Patrick and go on tour with the musician that are our friends. And for me, success is it's not necessarily about money and exposure and famous. For me, success sounds like being able to keep your band on, to keep your career on. So it's no number. It's just happiness.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris, joined as always by Joe Pacheco. What's happening, my man?
Not much, man. Just, work week, having fun here, getting all this stuff together. And you, how's it going?
No complaints over here, man. Definitely feeling good and feeling particularly happy to be having Steeven of Couleur on today's episode of the show. Their brand new project is going to be dropping on September 22nd, and Steeven came on to speak with us all about the process behind this new work. This was a really cool album. They took exactly 1 week per song on this project, and you guys are not going to want to miss the creative details behind all of this coming up soon on this episode of the show. Rock band Aerosmith have been forced to postpone 6 upcoming shows on their final farewell tour due to alleged vocal strain coming from Steven Tyler. Now, this story just came out in the past couple of days. 6 shows, of course, have been postponed, quote, on doctor's orders, including their Toronto gig, which is going to be coming up on Tuesday. Now, the reason cited for this, Joe, is that they're saying Steven Tyler has sustained vocal cord damage. He says he's heartbroken to say he received strict doctor's orders not to sing for the next 30 days. And he sustained this injury during the Saturday New York City show, which led to subsequent bleeding in his throat. So this is serious stuff, apparently. But I hate to be the one to say it, Joe. Are we for real? Is this serious right now? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'll take his word for it. I mean, this guy, he's got a track record. He's been around, 50 years at least in music and stuff. And, he was, the judge on American Idol for a couple of years. And I remember, they use it as a promo platform, right? So I think he was with Jennifer Lopez, so they go on and they sing, and you could tell that it's lip synced. And then but then he just grabs the mic, does it, and it's like live, So I have a lot of respect for him. So I believe him in the sense that the doctor told him, 30 days rest and all that. The one thing that really irks me is that I was really excited because Montreal was the last date on this tour.
Wow, the last show ever, really.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's I was excited because I go, if we get approved for passes to go shoot the show and review the show, I was like, wow, this is going to be the last Aerosmith, unless they're like Motley Crue and they keep coming back and all that stuff. But, we had the chance, and now it's damn, there's another 6 shows now after, so we're not going to get the last. So that really, pisses me off a bit, but hey, it's what it is, it's normal. It's, and the thing is, I always say vocals are the hardest part, man, to do live, and especially at his age and all that stuff. I don't want to, throw in his age and all that, but, it's like a muscle, man. And he probably just went, the excitement of probably just belting it out, getting in the vibe, and you push too hard. And next thing you know, you're bleeding and you got to take a month off,
Yeah, I mean, definitely, definitely a really challenging situation. And also, I think a vocalist that most people would respect, and definitely someone I have a ton of respect for as a performer, obviously wishing him well. Personally, Joe, I would hope that, maybe he just, is making an excuse, and hopefully he is in better health. As long as they have to postpone the shows, I just hope he's doing okay. Steven Tyler, of course, 74 years old. But still out there and kicking, man. And look, I don't think anybody can argue with the sound of his voice, especially when you compare it to other rock singers in the field of his age. So let us know what you exactly, right? So let us know what you guys think, and let us know if you got the chance or are going to get the chance to see Aerosmith live on their final tour. Hopping over to the SoundMojo community tab. Of course, this is the spot where we post different questions and polls to find out what our audience is listening to and watching in the world of music. And here we asked for Megadeth fans, Countdown to Extinction versus Rust in Peace.
Our audience picked 80% for Rust in Peace, and 20% for Countdown to Extinction.
I gotta say, Joe, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, I know Rust is a fan favorite, but Countdown was arguably their biggest record.
Yeah, definitely it is. It sold over like 2 point something million. It probably it doubled what Rest in Peace did. According to bestsellingalbums.org, not sure how accurate it is. They break it down for you. But even their previous albums, Peace Cells did 1.1 million. Euthanasia even did more than Rust with 1.3 million. So always surprising, you know?
For me, it seems like Rust in Peace is most likely the fan favorite record. And that would actually make sense when you really break down what's on it. I mean, especially Tornado of Souls, that song in and of itself has become like a little cult following. So, you know, maybe not their overall greatest body of work, in my opinion, but I could see why it would be someone's favorite. What do you think?
I think it's probably personally my favorite. When I listen to it, I'm always reminded of like just how awesome it is. And it's Marty's first introduction to, I guess, the Megadeth audience. And I was a huge fan of Marty, and I was so excited to hear this album. And when I heard Holy Wars, the riff, how it started, and then that little classical little thing he does, incredible. Countdown, I love this album. I think it's like, you know, like I guess I would equate it to their Metallica's Black album in the sense of a commercialness
100%.
and stuff. But I think it's a great album. Sounds great. I love the songs, you know, so I'm kind of biased towards it. But I would agree with this decision. The disparity is what's throwing me off, you know?
Yeah. So you're going to stick with Rust?
Yeah. Rest in Peace. Yeah.
It's definitely hard to pick. For me, I'm going to have to say Rust in Peace will take the cake for better individual songs, but as a full body of work, I got to give it to Countdown.
Wow, nice. Yeah, so let's check out some of these comments, you know, Rust in Peace. So we have so I always have a hard time. Corpla Vila. Rest in Peace was incredible musical masterpiece for the musical career of Megadeth. The lyrics, guitar, bass, drums, top notch. Countdown was a fun album, a great way to stay in the mainstream. Hidden Treasures, the same thing. Yeah, so basically, they kind of agree with us. It's their commercial success is Countdown.
100%.
Let's see. Luke Morrow, 7502. Oh, man, this is a tough one. I love them both for separate reasons. I put Rust on when I'm needing the balls to the walls, energy boost, and I want my brain melted.
Yep.
Countdown for when I'm just sitting back and relaxing. Both are just phenomenal albums. Pretty much, man.
That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. See, like you mentioned Tornado Soul, so we have Pedro Van den Broek, 1806. The first time listening to that album is just awesome because it's just something you wouldn't quite expect, especially with Tornado of Souls. That solo is just a masterpiece.
No doubt.
High Stick 21, both are great. Guitar playing, exactly. It's great. It's crazy how much like Marty's involvement, like, you know, influence and also helped like Megadeth. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Marty was a solo artist, and then he joins Megadeth. So you figure they're gonna lift his exposure. But I think they did. But I think it was sort of hand in hand. Like
absolutely. Well, all of a sudden the quality of music just shot up exponentially. And you know, I'm really glad that they're on good terms again too. We just saw the article today of, you know, Mustaine saying it was very, you know, nostalgic and warming to play with Marty. So I mean, I think this is all good stuff and definitely an era worth celebrating.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, definitely a seminal album in terms of even just metal and thrash metal, if you want to call it that. Definitely has to be on the top of anybody's list, you know, along with, you know, I'd say Master Puppets and all that stuff, Slayer albums. Anyway, we could go on for days, but thanks so much, everyone, for participating and, you know, sharing your thoughts with us. It's always appreciated. And, you know, we'll look, maybe put Rust in Peace against another Megadeth album.
That's right. We got to keep these challenges going. So make sure to be subscribed on the SoundMojo YouTube channel and let us know down below in the comments if you would pick Countdown or Rust in Peace. Hopping over to our guest portion of today's show, as mentioned off the top, it was a pleasure to be joined by Steeven of Couleur on today's episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. Of course, promoting their brand new project, Comme dans un penthouse, which is going to be dropping on September 22nd. And I have to say, Joe, this was a really cool conversation. I always love to talk to an artist when they're in their natural environment, so to speak, of the studio. You know, this is obviously a guy he works very hard on his craft, and he really doesn't seem like he would prefer to be doing anything else.
100% agree. And before I continue, I just wanted to say good job on your French. Your French is
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, very good, very good.
That week in Montreal did me some good.
Yeah, exactly. No, Steeven was great, man. Like, it was just so... inspiring to see how excited he is about the project. I always love it, because you work like maybe they worked on this a little less. You said it's like they did a song per week kind of thing.
Yeah, a week per song. Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah, so they had to make decisions. He says it in the interview. Though I had to commit. You can't say, "Oh, I'll fix that in the mix." No, make your decision now, and then it'll save you time in the mix. But like, it's interesting because you go through so much time working on stuff that by the time it's done, you're like, man, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. So it's always nice to see artists still excited about what they just finished or what they're working on.
Yeah, it actually is really refreshing, especially in today's age of sort of fast food music consumption where something's here today and gone tomorrow, right? It's nice to actually see. And we think you guys will pick up on that vibe as well. So without further ado, we won't keep you guys any longer and enjoy our conversation with Steeven of Couleur. Yeah, Steeven, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us on the Innersleeve Music Podcast today.
It's my pleasure, actually.
Very cool. We see you're in the studio right now. So what are you working on today, if I may ask?
On the new show, actually, of our band, of Le Couleur. I'm working on the pacing and the set list, as well as cheating stuff. It's no cheating, but I mean it's just like I mean I'm programming all the Ableton Live sessions and trying to organize the sessions as well as having the best pacing as possible. So working hard on that since last week, and that's gonna be it for the upcoming weeks, because the rehearsal is gonna start soon. The release party, the launch party, it's in a month or so. Yeah, a month and a half.
Yeah, in Montreal, it's October 19th at Le Studio TD, and then in the 20th is Quebec City at Le Postpone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you guys like a full band as well and electronics?
We do a 6 musician form lineup live. Yeah. So in the band itself, we're 3: myself, Laurence, and Patrick. But in live situation, we always a bunch of musicians. In this purpose, we are 6 since 2020. Since 2020, we're 6. We were 4 for the past 10 years, but since the last tour, we're 6, and it's very fun. I mean, we never played with that amount of musician before. So 6 musicians, there's always lots of energy, lots of sound coming from everywhere.
Yeah,
Each angle you're looking for, there's someone providing sound and energy and nice moves, and I mean they're smiling at you, they're dancing. It's pretty fun. We're all friends, and good friend actually. And it's the reason why we keep doing this, actually.
Does it feel super different, the fact that it is all friends, or like do you think it would be a challenge if it was 6 people who were sort of strangers, or does the fact that you guys are 6 friends really make that sort of feeling a lot more communal?
Of course, well, 200%. I mean, you're stuck in a van for 5, 6, 7 hours in a row, and you have to. I mean, Laurence is my wife, so I have to deal with. Of course, I get along with her. She's my girlfriend since 15, almost 16 years. I mean, but imagine we have sometimes issues like everybody. But imagine you don't get along with the people that you are stuck in a van doing a sound check, sharing a hotel room, etc. Nah, man. I mean, there's a lot of people, and why you win a freaking championships, and sometimes you don't, even if you have a crazy good team. I think it's because of the atmosphere and the friendship and the connection that you have with your teammates, or in this case your bandmates. That is, it's 90% of the spirit of a show, according to me.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, in terms of the connection with your wife, of course, I mean, you must get asked questions about that all the time. But I mean, the work-life balance, what is that like? Because it is a fascinating topic, I think, for a reason.
And it's a very actual, it's a very trendy subject for me right now, since I'm really struggling with some fatigue. I'm really exhausted. So with producing here at the studio, I produce a lot for other artists. I DJ a lot. I tour with some bands sometimes as a freelancer, as a session player. And there's my girlfriend, our daughter, our 7 years old daughter. We have a house. The fact that we live in a big city like Montreal, everything goes faster. Yeah, and it's very hard to not taking everything at the same time, because as a freelancer, I mean, I don't know if you are in this case. You don't want to be forgotten. You want to be the flavor of the month. You want to work, want to make money, and you want to be better. So burnouts and mental health and stuff like this are not anymore, but it was kind of taboo.
Yeah.
Until lately, but
yeah.
it's still something hard to talk about and to respect. As I don't think I respect my body that much. I respect others and how they feel, but for myself, I don't think I respect myself enough, and it's very hard. It's very hard. I think you need a good balance.
The important thing is that you're aware of it. You mentioned it. You're talking about it, because I know I've been in studio. My place is a studio here. And it's like you can work 7 days a week, and especially like you said, as a freelancer, I mean, if you don't work hard, nothing comes. You don't have a guaranteed paycheck. So my question, I guess, is like, are you literally all freelance? Like, this is your job.
Yes, exactly. Since a very long time. I was turning 29 or something. So yeah, it's been almost 10 years. So we've been doing that since a very long time. Laurence and Patrick are music teachers. So Le Couleur takes a lot of our time when we releasing an album. And so either you're in the studio recording your song, or you are on the road to do some concerts. So it's we're lucky. We're lucky enough, and we have good support here in Canada, in the province of Quebec. So we're very lucky to live with our own music. We're not Arcade Fire, but we're also not your cousin is in garage. So we are in the middle space. We're a middle successful band.
You're good,
but I'm happy though. I'm happy with my career. I'm happy to play with Laurence and Patrick and go on tour with the musician that are our friends. And for me, success is it's not necessarily about money and exposure and famous. For me, success sounds like being able to keep your band on, to keep your career on. So it's no number. It's just happiness and keep your life good and keep your friend close and being happy. It's a sign of success for me.
Oh, totally. I 100% agree with you, because, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a rock star playing the stage. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to be a gazillionaire and all that stuff. And then when I finally said, forget about that, I'm going to do production and recording and studio. And it's like, hey, man, if I can make $60,000 a year doing what I love to do, I won.
I made it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And of course, I wanna go on vacation. I wanna have enough money to pay my bills and go on vacation with my family and buy stuff for my daughter and stuff. I mean, it's capitalism, of course, but but I mean, I repeat myself. Happiness is a form of success, and it's very important.
Do you feel the happiest sort of when you're out in the world with your music, playing it to people, or I mean, do you find your solace in the studio and in the the vocal booth and the recording booths?
That's a very, very good question, because I ask myself this question quite often, and it depends the moment of the year. Right now I miss touring since we haven't toured since 1 year with the band. But when I'm on tour, I miss recording stuff with my band. And when I'm for instance 2-3 months without DJing, I miss DJing and partying. So we're never happy, but it's a little bit of this every time, like I said before, it's good balance. The balance is the key for me. So right now I miss touring. I miss doing live performance with the guys, but that's going to be something else in 10 months.
When you get there, you're going to miss the studio, Yeah.
I'm tired to travel, to do those flights, those luggages thing. I mean, and I will just gonna be at home or in my studio, a very calm and slow rhythm, So it depends of the moment of the year.
That's it.
How do you how often do you tour with Le Couleur?
Usually when we release an album, it's between 1.5 years and 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do a year here in Quebec, around, and then we're able to do a month or so in Europe or the States or something like that. Where you guys are situated?
I'm same as you. I'm in Montreal, but I'm actually in Laval, just a little bit more.
I'm in Alberta.
He's in Alberta.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely love Quebec though, man. And I mean, the scene that you guys have out there too. I mean, we've talked a bit about it, but would you guys say it's one of the best scenes in Canada, if not the best music scene?
Well, by far, yes.
There you go. Yeah, not even a question.
No, yeah, by far, yes. As far as I know from, for instance, Alberta or Vancouver or something, but Vancouver is not a province, of course, but
right.
but it's a metropole. Even Toronto is hard, man. It's very hard. It's hard. It's easy if you do hip hop.
Yeah.
But Toronto is hard. It's always been hard. Instance, I've been there maybe 9-10 times, play there, and it went well once. But I mean, it's the kind of music we do and the exposure we have. But I mean, it's been hard. But Montreal has so many venues, and for a very long time, the rents were very, very, very cheap. But now it's no longer the case, though.
Yeah.
But it's still very accessible. For me. I think. But
I would agree. I mean, it's on par with a place like Alberta, for the most part, right? And I mean, I think for what you're getting in terms of a scene and like you said, the diversity as well. I mean, it's not just dominated by one type of music, and that must be encouraging because listening to the latest record, of course, dropping on September 22nd, it's not just one type of music, even in just your projects, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's still fun here. I mean, I can still have my studio right here. It's a big studio actually, and the rent is pretty cheap when you think about it. My lease, my mortgage, it's still very good, very, very good. Even the inflation and the inflation. You see that? Yeah. And all that. So I can still live without doing stuff that I wouldn't like to do. So pretty pretty lucky. Knock on wood, but I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky.
Speaking of the album Come dans un penthouse, I don't know, tell us about it. I listened to it like 3 times today.
Yeah.
I love that whole I grew up with the whole, Kruder and Dorfmeister and like a lot of that DJ kind of stuff, electro. And it's awesome, dude. It's just so good. Like it just makes you feel good. The sounds, everything, the music. I don't know. Talk to us a bit about how you guys put the album together.
Of course, we always like to put images on sound. Actually, we really influenced by those 50s, 60s, 70s music composer. For instance, Ennio Morricone, or Francis Lee, a French one, François de Roubaix, another French one. And they always been associated with not thriller, but like cops movie. And we wanted to have like Columbo or stuff like that. We always wanted to do like this investigation type of music. So I think this album, it's an investigation.
That's so
album. Cool. So yeah, and it's very coherent in the sound and the production. We always do that with 1 or 2, 3 elements. And for this album in particular, we've done that with a keyboard, a digital 1991-ish Kawai Key M3 keyboard used by what is called the guys from Twin Peaks, Badalamenti. Yeah, that composer. Yeah. So it sounds very, very, very cheesy at some point, but when it's used with taste, you can do magic with that. So yeah, for this time we decided to use this guy as a central piece of gear, as well as new equipment. But between albums, you don't have the same lifestyle. I mean, I don't have the same car that I had for the one in 2016. I don't have the same clothes. I don't have the same diet, the same studio. So, I have the same wife because I love her too much. But
gotta keep some people around here.
But so we try to do not to do the same thing every single time. We with the previous one, it was a more 70s kind of full band album. Mm-hmm. But for this one, Come Dans un Penthouse, it's very more. We're back to a very producer type of producing. I mean, it's very square. It's very slick. It's very powerful. It's layered. The sound are layered a lot. So I wanted something big, and maybe because I've been influenced by the artists that I've been working for the past couple of years. I've been working with this lo-fi hip-hop electro guy called Wiz Clavis, with a very pop artist called Lil. For me, I take a lot of those collaboration and bring it to my own band. Actually,
I love that. Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
Even myself, like working with artists, like, that's so cool, and I don't even know if you do it on purpose. I think it just happens that way, right?
It's just happened. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh man, I never saw that way. I mean, and they feed you. I mean, collaboration and working for artists has to be a two-way collaboration. I mean, 2 ways, yeah, because otherwise it sucks for either for me or for the artist. It's important, a mutual collaboration, 50-50. It's very important.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you know, in terms of like the actual content of this record, I found that it was very much reminiscent of those classic elements, like you're saying, but it also sounded almost futuristic in different points as well. Like, how do you balance that? Because I mean, that can't be super easy, I wouldn't imagine.
It comes with, I mean, with taste, I guess, but we never wanted to be stuck in a particular decade. We never wanted to be a 80s synth band. We want to use 80s synths. We want to use a 60 old Ludwig, a 65 old Ludwig drum. I want to use this microphone, that brand new microphone. I mean, and every little bit of these elements makes something original for me. I don't want to do, and it's a good exercise to do an album with only one laptop or one synthesizer on one guitar. But for us, it's bringing a little bit of those vintage or not element that makes sound it in our time right now. I mean, it's now, and it's very important. Even if it sounds vintage, but it's not just that. It's more than that, and
it's got different flavors, different palettes, so to speak, right?
You can recognize a bunch of influence from the 80s or 70s or 90s, but it's not a 90s album. It's a Le Couleur album. I'm 37. Patrick is 40, and we are in our time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I also understand that you guys worked on each track for this record for exactly 1 week. Exactly.
Yeah, that was and for 3 months and a half, which was a very good debit of work since I've been working for album in the past for 14 months, for instance.
Wow.
Yeah, but for this one, we were. I committed a lot. I mean, I was like, okay, that sounds good. Let's go. That sounds super good. But at the same time, I produce Le Couleur. So at the same time, I have enough experience right now that I know from the beginning that I hear a part of a demo or anything, and I know exactly how it's gonna start, it's gonna be in the middle, and how it's gonna finish. So, is it the best way to start, do the bridge, and finish the song? I don't know, but it is this is the way how I hear it, and it's the song. I mean, it's like a mix. A mix is never finished, and you can mix a song. Michael Jackson has I don't know. He has 85 version of Beat It, but he took the 7th one or something like that.
Yeah.
I think because I remember I geeked out with on Gear Sluts back in the day when they were talking about that, and I think it was Billie Jean 92 mixes when they went with mix 2, and not only that, but think about it, because today it's easy to open up a session, everything comes back. Back then it was you had to get all the outboard gear and the board,
redo the whole thing.
That was an Olympic game at this time. Yeah.
So I mean, when it comes to actually formatting it that way, was it easier to actually get the songs done because you gave yourself 7 days, or was that like a stressful sort of thing to try to meet that deadline?
That was very stressful, actually, because the deadline was pretty tight. We started the album. We came back from South by Southwest, and we had only one title, one song recorded. And my bandmate was like, we're like, are we gonna make it for June, for the middle of June? I was like, yeah, of course, man, of course. And I was saying to myself in my head, I was like, oof, that's gonna be very, 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 very hard, man. You better to sit down and start writing and everything. So we gave everything we had. We gave it all, man. And but I kind of burned out myself at the same time. But I mean, was it worth it? I don't know. Of course, it
yeah. Joe says it was.
That is it something that I'm gonna do it that I'm gonna do again? Probably. Is it the best method I've done? I don't know, but it's one method, and I love the result. I love the way the songs are recorded, written, and produced and mixed. So it's a very interesting and fun method to do an album. They used to do that back in the days, but not with this amount of tracks and precision on the editing and stuff like this. But that was it's a fascinating way to do it, and it gives me something to say in the interviews.
Yeah,
there you go. It's a nice soundbite, right? It works for everybody over here.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm also interested in the concept of Barbra. You know, I mean, what can you tell us about sort of telling that story through, you know, different avenues with this project?
She's been around for the past 7 years with this album called Pop, released in 2016. It's this secretary that left in the Caribbean with the money of their I don't know, with this couple. I mean, it's a conceptual album first. It's an album about renew. It's looking for this hot sensation, you know,
like a spark, like a, you know,
spark, you know, like
okay,
the guys from Johnny Knoxville from Jackass, they were looking for something. You don't want to be you want to do that for nothing, because you like those sensations, you know, those thrills. So it's kind of, it's talking about that, and we've been influenced by I would say, I'd said before, music composer, but movies as well. We've been really influenced by this film from Cronenberg called Crash. Crash. It's a 1994 or 96 movie. Very
erotic.
Very very.
That's
erotic.
about the couple, and they're drawn to that sort of risk.
Yeah, crashing their car.
Right. I've been meaning to watch that.
Their fantasy about
fetish.
Fetish. It's a fetish. So and we were like, oh, that's very interesting. We based our telling story about that, and as well as a very well known and very famous and very good movie, American Psycho. We've been really impressed by Patrick Bateman mindset, how he can be so cold but really handsome and really funny, and his taste of music. And so there's a lot of this in this album.
Yeah, apparently that was inspired by Tom Cruise, by the way. Random fact, that character. So that's definitely interesting. And definitely, but that's for the movie podcast here at Watch Mojo. But listen, man, I mean, I think honestly, you guys came away with an incredible product. You know, I mean, so you said that this would be something that you're probably going to do again, but you said it, you know, in terms of formulating it this way, but it may not have been like the easiest way. That's sort of where you're at with it now.
Exactly.
Yeah, the method behind the madness.
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool, man. Well, listen, what can people expect for the live shows? Obviously, you guys have your release events and you're busy, you know, working on it now. What can people sort of expect if they had to visualize it?
A very energetic show. Since we do live shows, very tight, electronic, but with live musicians. There's gonna be an hour of a very nice party, very nice dancing party, and that's gonna be a very nice story. I mean, you open up the book, and you turn the pages, and it's there's gonna be a very a tight story and understandable. I mean, you're gonna dance your ass off. Like, yeah, that's gonna be very fun. It's gonna be powerful. That's gonna be fat. That's gonna be even very, like, not metal, but very strong at some point. So that's gonna be very fun. Yeah. We are looking forward to show that new pacing, that new set list to everybody. We're pretty excited about that.
love how excited you are, man. You say you're tired, man. You're excited.
Thanks, man.
We'd hate to see you energized. No, I'm just kidding. No, man, we love it. Listen, congratulations on all the success. And of course, we have the links down below for all of our viewers to go check out Le Couleur. The brand new record is going to be dropping September 22nd. And make sure to go connect with Steeven and the group down below with all of their links. And thanks again for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. You are. I mean, that was a very nice chat, nice interview, nice question, nice topics. That was very good, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to Steeven of Le Couleur for joining us on this brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. You know, I have to say, Joe, one thing that struck me about this conversation was just how candid and open Steeven was, you know, especially off the beginning, talking about some of the stresses of this business and the stresses of being away from family and all that. You know, I think a lot of artists tend to sort of just sugarcoat that part and not really even talk about it. Whereas Steeven, he was very forthright and just, you know, forthcoming about what he's been through.
Yeah, and like the fact that he said he's tired, you know, which is normal because you see, like he doesn't have like a steady paycheck where every week, you know, you're gonna have a paycheck coming in, and whether you work harder or not as hard, you'll have that check and stuff, you know. Whereas here, if you don't work, nothing comes in, so you have to keep going and going and going. So sometimes I've been there, man. It's like, you know, the music thing, you're not making a lot of money. I'm not working, you know, depends like what you're doing and stuff, running a studio, the expenses, and just like the amount of sheer work, like 7 days a week, bro. Like 7 days a week I was there, you know, working. And then sometimes the Saturday is a whole day because that's your longest day, you know, because I was doing a lot. For me, it was my passion, but it was always my side project in the sense because I had that weekly regular paycheck. So I was able to, you know, have fun with it and just pick and choose the artists I wanted to work with, where sometimes, you know, if you're running a studio, you got to take anybody that comes in to keep the lights on, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, you might not be necessarily stimulated by that. And,
exactly.
You know, there's a lot of things that go with that as well. So, you know, I think it's good for the up and coming artists out there, any indie artists out there, to really just listen to these aspects of the interviews. You know, yes, it's great for us to focus on all the, you know, the great fun stuff, of which there's plenty. But, you know, this is hard work. And, you know, I think the idea that it's less hard because it's an entertainment, you know, that's definitely not accurate, right?
You know, it's like people think if it's not physical, you know, it's not as tiring, but you don't realize the mental fatigue of just getting everything done, staying on top of everything, trying to be current, trying to understand all these platforms. And, you know, it's daunting. One thing I liked about what he said was that he's like, I can see it in other people, like that the mental health and other people, but I don't take care of my body. I don't take care of myself, which is usually how we always get in trouble. And it's normal because we just sort of, you know, put it off, I'll do it, whatever, you know? So it's, more and more, it was taboo, as he said, to talk about it, but more and more, I'm glad that people are talking about it, because if you talk about it, you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm weak. I'm weaker than this guy, you know? And it's like,
right. And it levels the playing field if we realize, you know, we're not that unique, right?
Exactly, right? You know, it's like everybody's sort of struggling with something or going through something, you know, like social media, you live your best life on social media, but the everydayness is what gets to you, you know?
No question about that. And we really appreciate Steeven, you know, taking the time to come and speak on this on our show and our platform. And we really appreciate you guys for checking in to this brand new episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, youtube.com/SoundMojo for new content all throughout the week. Also, come check in with us on social media at SoundMojo. Make sure to come say hello. We'll definitely respond to all comments. Just make sure to come drop us a line. Also, make sure to check out the Innersleeve Music Podcast on your favorite audio podcast platform. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And make sure to drop us a little 5-star review as well. We would definitely appreciate that if you can help us get up in the rankings on these podcast platforms. Thank you for joining us in this brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.